Hey guys, remember that atrocious Mario Brothers movie from the 90s? They've all been pretty bad. We're going to talk about video game movies and the curse of adaptations. Why is Hollywood not able to get video game movies right? I'm joined as always by my fantastic panel of nerds. I'm trying to hold back a burp. Sorry. We're all drinking something different today, but Matt Vader's here. He's drinking a Texas.
Krabbies and
No,
Frays.
that's a Texas Mule.
Yeah, but it needs ice.
It needs ice.
Yeah.
It's cold as hell, isn't it?
No,
Oh, my bad.
but it's okay.
And Judah's also here,
It's fine.
drinking a Texas Mule.
Hello.
What's up? Matthew Kadish, producing the show. Welcome, sir.
Yes, I'm drinking a blue raspberry monster.
For those of you who don't know, there's a soda shop within walking distance of this studio, and every single time I see Kadish, he has a giant.
He's
like,
more addicted
64
to
ounce.
that pop shop than we are to
Yeah,
alcohol.
shout out to the pop shop, by the way.
They
You
give
guys are
him
cool.
they give him free stuff. That's how often he goes there.
No, they give me discounts.
Okay. Well, I wish I got
You should
discounts
have
at the
gotten
liquor
ice.
I did get ice for myself.
store for himself. It's like you alcoholics are on your own. Anyway, the curse of the video game movie. We had this idea because of all the video game adaptations that have been coming out, like the Mario Brothers movie, the Tetris movie on Apple TV, and we in general tend to watch a lot of video game movies because I play video games. So when they make a video game movie, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll check it out.
They're
Assassin's Creed or something like that. I'll check it out for sure.
I think it's my favorite genre of movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like we've actually reviewed a lot. Like we've reviewed the Warcraft movie in the past. We've reviewed the Resident Evil movies. We've reviewed multiple Resident Evil movies actually, but we also reviewed Monster Hunter. And it just so happens that Paul Stanky Anderson is involved in a lot of video game adaptations.
Listen, Paul Stanky Anderson, he cheats though because he gets the rights for these video games super cheap, and then he just doesn't follow the source material, and he slaps a name on it that he knows people will recognize and gets him to show up. Makes the movie dirt cheap, so no matter how
Well, what's funny is like, so you have the two worst video game adapters in history, which is Paul W.S. Stanky Anderson, and then you got Uwe Boll, who's this German director who basically, he was in charge of some type of like tax shelter fund in Germany, where like the government was like, you know, just financing things left and right for tax purposes. And he tapped into that and bought the rights to a bunch of video games, which he then turned into movies. And they were all terrible. Like he's responsible for like Island of the Dead, and it's called In the Name of the King, but like it was based off of the Dungeon Crawler.
Oh, is that the one with Jason Statham?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
that was a terrible
the
movie.
Blood Rain video game and After Dark, and basically like he got like big name actors in his movies, but he was such a terrible director and writer that every single movie he made was like worse than the last one. It was really bad. But he's kind of like the other side of the Paul Stanky Anderson coin, where Stanky Anderson's movies actually like are successful, whereas Uwe Boll's were just like bad.
Yeah, it's a trope. Whenever Hollywood is like, "Oh, we're gonna make a movie out of this video game," it always sucks.
I don't know. I guess I watch different video game movies than you guys because
Give me some examples.
I tend to enjoy most of the video games. I don't think I've watched any of the Uwe Boll movies simply because I think
Name of the King was terrible.
yeah.
We liked Hitman.
Hitman was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, there's movies out there like I watch I own it. The Warcraft movie, I think it's. I mean, it's not high cinema,
That's
but man,
horrible.
it's not
Jude
horrible
has
though.
PTSD from
I
that.
do.
But
I
it's
literally
actually
do.
it's a lot of fun because you know I come from the background as a longtime player of that game, and I enjoyed it.
We all really liked the
and you know
new-
what? If you didn't play the game, the movie wasn't made for you, as far as I'm concerned. Because and it didn't have to be. That's what I like about these movies. It's like they don't have to be made for audiences that didn't play the game. I mean, you know, this week I watched World of Warcraft this week, and one of the conversations I had was, well, I didn't know any of the characters or anything like that, or what was going on. It's like, well, this was the start of a story, so they were introducing new characters to you. So you don't have to go into this movie knowing everything yet already.
Do you think
know
that's
I'm
what you think that's what some audience members are intimidated by walking into a story that they don't know anything about?
Maybe a little bit, but for us long time players of the game, we knew everything that was in this movie. We knew where they were. We recognized things. We saw the little Easter eggs and everything. What do we?
I don't know. Alex is
smirking at?
giving me weird
Jude's
looks.
over here rimming her glass, getting me all horned up. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, lady?
That's what does it for
Like,
you?
what's up, babe? How you doing?
Oh my God. I didn't know that was a thing.
Sorry.
And I know the Warcraft movie, for example, took some liberties and stuff. But
Yeah.
it was fine. I didn't care.
That's
You
the
know,
biggest
it's-
issue I think a lot of video game movies have is they take too many liberties.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that you say is like, this video game movie is made for people who are fans of the video game. But when they try and reach the broad audience to get butts in the seats and make a movie successful as far as the bottom line goes, they take so many liberties that the video game audience now is disenfranchised
Right.
from it. And then we get shitty video game movies.
Yeah, I think it's true across the board. Whenever you're trying to please everyone,
Yeah.
you please no one.
Right.
But one video game adaptation that we all really liked recently was the Raccoon City movie.
I did like that movie, but I guess I can't claim
They
that
got
I'm
it wrong first,
Yeah.
and then they got it right.
I can't claim that I'm a big Resident Evil video game player. I've played maybe a handful of the games casually here and there. I don't follow the story or anything like that. I'm not a hardcore fan. I really enjoyed that movie, but apparently the video game community was not happy with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
Well, you said you liked it a lot, and you played the game, right, Kadish?
Well, I played the original game, but you, me, and Vader all went and saw it together in the
Yeah,
theater.
we had a great time.
And compared to the Stanky Anderson Resident Evils, it was like, Citizen Kane.
I think that's the key. You have to have a really bad adaptation first, like Mario,
right.
and then
Yeah.
you come out with one that's good, and people are like, "Oh my god, it's fucking amazing!"
It's amazing.
Well,
It was great.
you know what's funny is the 1993 Mario Brothers movie starring Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo. So like that was the very first ever video game adaptation. Like that was the first translation of a video game to a live action movie.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, 100% sure. And what was interesting about that movie is like, so originally the guy who was the screenwriter for it, he also wrote Rain Man. And he had this like very like adult script about like the relationship between Mario and Luigi and like all this stuff. And that's what got these actors who thought video game movies were like stupid ideas to sign on to it because it was like a very kind of highfalutin script. And then once all the actors were locked in, the studio's like, you know what, we want to make this for kids. And so they start rewriting it. But the husband and wife directing duo that they hired, who had done the Max Headroom stuff previously, so like they were coming off of like the success of that.
And we all know how well that's held up.
Yeah. But basically like they wanted to make this like dark dystopian adult story about like two plumbers who, like go into this like alternate dino universe and like save the world. And then like you have the studio who's like, well, we want to make this more for kids. And Nintendo had like nothing to do with it past like, selling off the licensing for it. But basically everyone who was making the movie, because the directors were kind of inept, like they were husband and wife duo that didn't talk to each other. And so they each kept making changes that they wouldn't tell the other about. And so it was just chaos on the set. It went like 16 weeks over schedule and like way over budget.
Literally documentaries on how badly this movie was made.
Wow.
Yeah, and Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo basically had to get drunk with each other every day just to make it through the day. Because
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because they were like, this is such a mess. This is going to be a terrible movie.
Yeah.
And so like we're just going to try to weather through it. But Dennis Hopper famously he was like, I was only supposed to be here for a week. Like I've been here for like months. And he would have like knockdown, drag out fights with the directors all the time. And basically, the movie ended up being like a weird. I remember going to see it in theater because I was like a Mario fan growing up, and I was like, this isn't Super Mario. Like I thought Bob Hoskins was great casting, but I was like, why is his brother Latino?
Yeah.
Like it didn't make any sense.
Kadish was so. He wanted us to watch the original so bad this week,
Not
gearing
wanting
up
to do
for recording. So we looked for it. He strong-armed me. He beat me into submission, and he was like, "Can we please watch it?" And I was like, "Okay, but if we get like 15 minutes in and I'm going, ugh, we have to be like, okay, we watched enough."
100%.
He's
you
like,
would've
okay,
been.
deal. We couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah,
it's
it's not
available
available.
nowhere in the U.S.
But
Wow.
like you can buy the DVD, but like in streaming,
in the 90s.
yeah, in streaming, like it's just you can't find it anywhere.
Because
Yeah.
nobody wants to
Well,
watch that pile of trash.
And for those of you who have never been to our house, we have 3 walls covered in bookshelves, and probably 50% of those bookshelves have DVDs on them. And I offhandedly said, "You probably have it on the shelf somewhere." And he was like, "Do I?" And for 20 minutes, he was like scouring through the bookshelves looking for it, but to no avail.
But Super Mario Brothers was kind of the start of this trend where like Hollywood just didn't know how to adapt video games. And many video games adaptations have been tried over the years, and they've all been bad up until, I'd argue, recently.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
like we've actually gotten a couple good adaptations.
I find it very frustrating how the studios cannot make a good video game adaptation. Even series that are rife for the big screen or the little screen. You know, the Master Chief show is a perfect example.
Halo.
Oh, what a
Just
disappointment.
Halo. How
Halo-
do you mess that up?
The story is
You
literally
know what I mean?
that's what's frustrating for me because I've like the Nintendo games. The story is very light, right? Rescue the princess.
yeah.
that's it, right? Okay,
Yeah.
it's not that much to work with. Some of the Warcraft stuff, there's so much that it's hard to kind of narrow it down to just
Warcraft
like one story.
is it's a world to set things into.
Yeah,
You know, so much like the Halo world.
so it can be difficult to kind of narrow down a story. I grew up in an age where games that I played had their own story. When I played Tomb Raider, each game had its own story.
Yeah.
It had a bad guy, it had a protagonist, antagonist, it had a story, it had puzzles, it had the whole thing. You literally could just adapt that into a movie and not change anything, and it would still be a pretty decent movie. You have to fill in some blanks here and there with some dialogue and exposition and stuff, but it's fine, whatever. What's frustrating is that, like, as a game player, I played these games and I'm like, damn, that freaking game had an amazing story. And then you go and you're excited to watch a movie like Assassin's Creed. I just watched that this week for the first time with Michael Fassbender. I'm a big fan of the Assassin's Creed games. I played the first 4 or 5 of them all the way through. I was pretty dedicated. I think the last one that I played, I pre-ordered Black Flag, which is you play a pirate. And I was like, I love those games. And when the movie came out, it got so panned by everybody. Like, oh, this movie's trash. I never bothered to see it because it was another one of those long, like a chain of another shitty video game movie.
I'd call it a slaction film. It's a very boring movie.
Yeah, but I was really trying to like dissect it. So this week I bit the bullet and I watched the Assassin's Creed movie because I was like, okay, I want to see what happened versus the translation from the game to the movie. And one of the things that the Assassin's Creed games really allowed you to kind of sink into was when you were in the past as an assassin doing all this stuff, you were in the past. That it never broke the wall of like disbelief or like, oh, I'm actually this person. I'm playing as this person. I'm existing in this world. It's the 1300s or whatever. The movie, for some odd reason, they when you put the main character who was played by Michael Fassbender, I don't even know his freaking name in the movie. They put him into the machine that allows you to go back in time via genetic memory. Every single time you were in the past, it would be cut with modern time stuff because he's on this like big robotic arm and he's jumping around holographic images and stuff like that. It completely ripped you out of the world that you were supposed to be in. And it was like jarring back and forth. Oh, we're in the past. Now we're in the present. Now we're in the past. Now we're in the present. Back and forth the whole movie. I'm like, part of the reason why I liked the game was because I was able to stay in the past and do my thing. And it was an open world, right? It was one of the newer open world games where you climb any tower that you see. If you see some church in the background, you go over there and go climb it. And the movie was just like, no, we're going to keep ripping you into the present and we're going to keep shoving exposition down your throat. And I'm just like, the whole point of why I wanted to be here was so I could be in the cool past and like assassinating, you know, archbishops and whatever and like corrupt kings and stuff. And it was just so dumb. Like the story itself with the historical artifacts that they were trying to get and the Templars, that was all there. It just wasn't put together right.
I wish I just don't understand why they can't seem to get it together when it comes to a lot of these series. The Witcher is another example. They've jumped the shark with the Witcher series too, right? I mean,
the thing about The Witcher though is like it didn't start off as a video game. It was a series of books that were adapted into a really good video game based off the books. And then they adapted the books to the TV show and people wanted the video game adapted.
Well, to me, it's a video game.
I
didn't know there was even books about it until
the show came out.
I mean, they're very famous books.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets me to Alex's point is that you have video games that have very good stories to them. And when it comes to adapting them to movies, the people adapting them are just like, we don't need to take that story at all. We can just make up our own thing. Like, do you guys remember Mark Wahlberg and Max Payne? Max Payne is a great, like, kind of like noirish, like crime drama. And they put in like winged Valkyries that would like, you know, throw people off buildings and stuff like that.
They went down this like weird rabbit hole with the drug. What was it called? Was it called Valkyrie? I can't remember what the drug was called, but
Oh,
anyway. But like
yeah.
one of the elements that they use in the game is the slow motion bullet time, which came kind of out of like the 1999 movie The Matrix, where like the bullet time kind of got introduced, and then they were like, oh, that's freaking super cool. So they put it in Max Payne. I love those games. But you're absolutely right. Like they took the story of Max Payne, which was like this really tragic noir cop film type thing, and they just made it into this weird, like mythical, I don't even know, like Valkyrie thing where like there's demons and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's so strange.
I mean, they could have just done a straight adaptation.
They literally
of
could
the
have,
game,
yeah.
and they chose not to. And they do that a lot, like the Hitman movie that we talked about with Timothy Oliphant. It's like the Hitman games have a story to them. They could have just adapted that, but instead they went with like an entirely different direction with
It's
it.
almost like people in Hollywood when they're sitting down in their studios and they're like, well, we're going to make this movie.
It's
They-
like they're only doing it because they're getting paid, and that's really sad.
Well, probably, yes. That's 100% correct. But what I'm saying is like when they take this game, I feel like the writers in Hollywood feel like they're smarter than the writers from these studios who make the video
100%.
games.
Yeah, that's pretty
100%.
frustrating.
Oh, you're just a video game writer. You're not a Hollywood writer. Let me put my stamp on it.
Everyone wants to take something that's not theirs and make it their own.
Yeah, I want to put my fingerprint on it. I want
Yeah.
yeah.
Take your grubby fucking paws off of it.
But you know, we had this recent TV show on HBO called The Last of Us, where the guy who wrote the video game, Neil Druckmann, was involved with the adaptation, and it was actually a fairly close, at least for the first 2 episodes, fairly close adaptation to the game.
Yeah.
And then it like went off in its own direction. It changed a lot of stuff from the game, but people still really seem to like it.
There's
Are you
I
sure-
heard it ended well. Has anybody finished it?
I didn't watch it
I,
after
I didn't
episode
watch
3.
it after episode 3.
So I love the game. The Last of Us game is amazing. Like it's one of the best single player experiences that I've ever had. I'd put it right next to Sonya's Sacrifice, Hellblade. If you ever played that, if anybody out there has ever played that game, it's freaking an incredible Viking single player experience. Go play it. It's so
What is it?
Senua's Sacrifice, Hellblade.
Okay.
So freaking good. Crazy good story. I'd put that up against The Last of Us as far as like a narrative story goes. When I first started watching The Last of Us on HBO, I was thrilled because they were literally taking cutscenes from the game and they were putting it in the show with these actors. And I was like, this is exactly what I want. Thank you. Finally,
Yeah.
somebody's doing it. And then, of course, the political side of things started to show its ugly face. And instead of just adapting the game, they made changes to be more inclusive. And they were doing all this stuff. And then I watched episode 4, I think. I did watch past episode 3. I watched episode 4. And that's when I really lost it because they have like this Midwestern soccer mom who is for some reason in charge of this like marauding.
Don't you disparage Melanie Gritsky.
They have this Midwestern soccer mom who is like the leader of this marauding, pirating, murderous, rampaging group of dudes with AKs and stuff like that. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, man. This is kind of a joke.
And
I
also
totally believe her
they-
as a bad guy.
They spent like 2 episodes
Yeah.
building her up as a bad guy and just to kill her off, and it was just like, oh, so she doesn't matter at
Yeah,
all.
And that's kind of why I lost interest in the show too, is because like it seemed like I think from episode 3 until wherever I stopped watching it. I stopped watching it after the brother episode.
I think we made it to episode 5.
5.
I-
Okay,
I-
and it just seemed like from that point on, everything was episodic. So it seemed like nothing in the episodes mattered. It was just the story of Joel and Ellie. But
That's what the game was about.
great, but
Yeah.
like every single episode was a bad guy introduced, bad guy killed, on to the next adventure, and each episode was a different adventure, and it made me not care about what was going on.
What-
It was just like,
I,
okay, well, you're going to get to the end of the season, and you guys are going to be the only ones that survive, right?
Yeah.
I don't care.
What were you gonna say, V?
I had to quit watching because after episode 3, I kept having these weird nightmares about Kadish and I rubbing our beards together, and it was very
Can we
disturbing.
go?
So what? Yeah.
It's like
I don't think I've ever said this on record for the show, but one of the things that bothered me the most was when I say like the political aspect of this came out in episode 3 and it reared its ugly face and it put story aside and it made it just about these two people. So like Bill and Frank, if you play the video game, when you meet Bill, he's in like a dilapidated like downtown Boston almost. And it's like it's a place that if you look from afar, you'd be like, I don't want to go in there. That's how he survived.
Yeah.
He survived because he lived in a place nobody else wanted to be in. When they adapted it to the game, he's in like this little freaking picturesque paradise with like a white picket fence and he's growing fruit and all. I'm like, it broke the world for me that I knew of The Last of Us. This isn't a post-apocalyptic zombie apocalypse. Like everybody's out for their own. They're gonna kill you if you have something nice. So and he's in this. Hold on, let me finish this. And then when Bill in the video game, they introduced Frank, the character Frank, he stole shit from Bill, tried to escape and leave Bill hanging dry. Like they didn't like each other very much. They were pretty antagonistic towards each other, and they wrote this letter. And you don't get to read the letter, but Bill reads it, and you can hear it in the audio. And he goes, "Oh, fine, Frank. That's how you really felt. Well, fuck you too, then." Yeah. And he like throws the letter away, and it's like, "Oh, these guys, these were like, they were friends because they were helping each other survive. But once that opportunity left." They were enemies at that point.
They certainly weren't lovers.
They were not lovers nibbling on strawberries in their back garden. I was like, what the hell is this nonsense? And the suicide pact, too. Another thing, too. Silly. And, like, Ellie's interaction with Bill is freaking hilarious in the game. Like, those two, because how snarky Ellie is and how much of a curmudgeon old asshole Bill is, like, the two of them mixed together make some really awesome, like, cutscenes in the game. We didn't get any of that. So there was another adaptation. Even though the guy who made the game was involved in the TV show, I was like, this isn't what I signed up for. I'm not going to watch it.
And one of the, I think it just comes down to an adaptation issue where you see this all the time where people adapt books. Like we recently talked about the Mayfair Witches.
I don't want to talk about
it. And how bad of an adaptation that was. And it's like, why can't Hollywood take something that people already love and just translate it to the screen? Why do they have to make so many like weird changes?
And you know what kills me is when they do the post-show interview or review or whatever, when they're so fucking proud of themselves. Yeah. You made a garbage episode about a beloved property, and you are the only person standing there patting yourself on the back. It's like, go fuck yourself straight to hell.
It's like, hey, assholes, we just want to see a visual high def representation of the stuff that's in these books and comic books and games that we already love.
Yeah.
We don't need your politics and your bullshit
it's like
inserted into these things.
Literally the perfect example.
It's not hard.
Is the Halo show.
A perfect example.
Like Halo, Master Chief, the story.
Band of Brothers versus Aliens.
The story in the first Halo game, Combat Evolved, is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like you got the Covenant and they're chasing you down. You got all this like, yeah, let's go with that. You can even throw people in with that don't know a lot and then just kind of fill them in as the episodes go on.
And you know who was the perfect audience for that show? Me.
Right.
Because I never played the video game and I couldn't even fucking finish the show because it was terrible.
Because they inserted characters that don't exist in the games.
You mean like Quan Ha?
Quan Ha.
They inserted a strong female character that was so badly written that every time she was on screen, I couldn't stop myself from going,
the characters in the show didn't even like her. And they're like, this is our main lead.
She made no sense. And her decisions her tactical, whatever the fuck she was doing also didn't make sense.
That's what I love.
She'd walk into a church where people are praying and be like, you fucking people, you should be fighting. And then when people would start to fight, she'd be like,
so check it out.
Oh, you did it wrong.
In the game, right? The alien covenant, they think humans are below them. They think humans do not deserve to exist.
Right, we probably
the showrunners, when they're sitting there writing, when they're like, humans do not deserve to exist. It's actually literally in their religion to kill all humans. So you know what the writers thought would be a good idea to include into the covenant? A human.
Yeah.
Why?
And a girl.
Why?
A human girl.
A human woman who fucks Master Chief. Get out of here.
And who looks like a little boy.
It's like, oh my God. It's so stupid. Like, why would you do that? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
If she looked like Corona, would you have felt better?
Who?
Corona.
Cortana.
Cortana?
The green chick from Warcraft.
Oh God, dude.
Stop bringing up Warcraft.
Can you get a picture of the orc from that movie on the? I'll just be jerking it on the table here. God, she made me feel weird about tusks.
Dude, I'm sorry you hate that movie.
Have you not heard me say that before?
That was literally in our Warcraft review.
Yeah, remember when we did Warcraft? And I was like, she makes me feel funny
I
about
don't think
orcs.
I did Warcraft with you.
God, the orc from that movie is.
I kind of want to start playing again, but I want Jude to play with me.
Fuck
Jude's
you.
never gonna play video games.
Fuck you.
I really just
never gonna
just
play
so you
video
can see how massive and awesome the world is. At least up until Burning Crusade.
Honestly, you said I want you to play Warcraft with me, and I visually pictured me just punching through your asshole.
Wow.
Wow. Did you get a chance to watch Doom?
Not this week. We all watched different movies this week.
Yeah,
right?
we all watched different movies.
I watched Tomb Raider. I watched Warcraft.
Yep.
I watched Tetris. I watched Mario Brothers at the theater. And I started something else that I forget. But
I watched
that's
Assassin's
about all I had
Creed,
time for.
Tomb Raider 1 and 2, and Mario Brothers and Tetris.
I was gonna watch Assassin's Creed, but they wanted $3.99. I said, "Fuck you, I'm not paying you money."
Wait a second. Did I rent that movie?
I don't know. What did you watch?
Oh, I hope I didn't. What did you watch?
I watched Mario Brothers and Tetris and Free Guy
Oh, yeah.
and something else.
Yeah, Free Guy's not an adaptation.
Neither is
but
Tetris.
It's a video game movie,
It
and
is.
Tetris
I'm
is
gonna-
about.
no. I'm going to fight with Kadish right
you're,
now.
You're gonna lose.
The definition of an adaptation is taking the story from the video game, not the story of the video game, the story from the video game, and adapting it to the
That
big
is not the
screen.
definition.
That is. It's an adaptation of the video game story.
Do you know what the definition of research is?
I'm gonna go to the chat. Chat needs to research what the definition
Research.
of a thing
Okay,
is.
my definition of a video game movie is you take a video game and you adapt the
Are you
story from that
speaking your
game.
truth?
Okay, no, shut up. Tetris
You're
is
so
the
brave, Alex.
Tetris is the real
Stunning and
story.
brave, Alex.
You're being
Stunning
so
and
brave.
It's not a story of.
Would you like a Bud Light?
Fuck you. Tetris is the story about the making of and the licensing of the game. It's not a story about a bunch of bricks who want to fit together.
You're verbally taking your
I would
helmet
totally
off
watch
right
that
now,
game.
and I respect you.
It doesn't make any sense.
We're talking about that in the live stream, right?
Yeah, this we can talk about now
You,
too.
you know what's funny about Tetris is like when they announced that they were adapting Tetris into a movie, everyone was like, "How do you do that? Like that doesn't make any
I'm
sense."
clearly on the square block side.
I'm on the green S-shaped one. Like
Let's
it's
go.
not. It's
go
not.
squares.
But you know what's
Make
funny
sure you
about Tetris?
get your rainbow ones.
You know what's funny about Tetris is like it's been the best-selling video game of all time up until like 2018 or something like that, or 2020 when Minecraft finally like dethroned it as like the top-selling video game of all time. But like
Our kid's obsessed with Minecraft.
My kids love
Yeah.
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Do you know they're making a live-action version of Minecraft
I'm
with
sure they
Jason?
are.
Jason
Jason
fucking Momoa.
yeah.
I was like,
but-
I saw a tweet, and it's an official source. They were like, "Yeah, we're making a live-action Minecraft movie with Jason Momoa." And I'm like,
Of course you are. Of
"What?"
course you are.
But you know what's funny is like Tetris is kind of like the genesis of what Minecraft eventually like became. Like
Yeah.
you know, it's just like very simple blocks. And it was like Tetra, like 4 blocks that you fit together into a puzzle game, and you can't. There is no story to adapt with that game, and so like what they came up with was the story of how Tetris became the best-selling video game of all time, and the guys that they based the movie off
It was
of.
like a spy thriller.
It was a great movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was funny because like the guys that the characters of the creators of Tetris and the guy who like sold
Came
Tetris
out of
and stuff
Mother
like
Russia.
that, like they were consulted on the movie and they were like 90% of this stuff didn't happen. It's like there was
Sure.
no car chase to the airport and stuff like that.
Oh man.
Fucking Americans.
Yeah, but that's an example of like being creative with an adaptation because there were aspects of the game in the movie, and like the whole kind of Cold War spy like thriller that was like built around it was really interesting. And remember the British guy who was like the dude who was like the fat
the billionaire.
billionaire guy.
Yeah. The what is it? Mirosoft. Who's the leader of Mirosoft, right?
Yeah. So like his name was like something Maxwell, and he was Ghislaine Maxwell.
No, not the chick from Epstein's Island.
Yes, that was his daughter.
No.
Yeah.
The plot thickens.
Oh no.
Oh my God. He's the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude.
Oh, he was a piece of shit in the movie too. Wow. Right.
And it's funny because
no.
Jude and I watched this show called Succession on HBO, and everyone thinks that it's the Murdoch family that they're kind of like parodying, but it was actually that family, the Maxwell family, that they're parodying. that show.
Oh, gross. Well, fuck me.
But Tetris was actually a really good movie.
It was a great movie.
I had a great time with that movie last night. One of the best movies I've seen.
Even though I don't
on
agree with
a home
Kadish
in a
that it's
while.
an adaptation of a video game, because it's not. It's an adaptation
No.
of the story about the making of a video game.
Right.
I
agree with you.
It's still a fantastic movie. I had so much fun watching it. The music was on point. You were talking about that last night when we were watching it in the live
Oh,
stream.
I love the soundtrack.
Soundtrack was dope.
As soon as I got into my Jeep this morning, I got onto Spotify and I go, Tetris soundtrack on Spotify. And there it was. And
Not
it's
your
like,
royalty-free metal.
no, that's for streaming. And but they have like this really cool version of I need it.
I Need a Hero.
I need a hero.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like in Japanese. They got all these weird like
Yeah.
foreign language
And
versions of these
Super Mario
80s
Brothers
songs.
use that song
It's super
too.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I like
cool.
it. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Do they have a Spotify playlist?
They got the album on Spotify.
Send that shit to me.
I will. Sure.
I love
Send
it.
it to the internet.
Send it to the internet.
I will put it on. I'll put it in Discord right now.
I was genuinely surprised at how much I like this movie.
Who's the main actor?
Taron
Edgerton?
Edgerton? Yeah.
Taron Edgerton?
Yeah,
He's-
from the British spy movie dude.
Oh, the Kingsman.
Kingsman. Yeah.
He's
that guy.
quickly becoming one of my favorite
yeah,
actors.
very quickly.
Very quickly.
Totally agree,
He's super charismatic. His characters are always fun to watch. And he can pull off a mustache, if I do say so myself. I don't think anybody else can pull off a mustache. It's like him. Like Tom Selleck is the peak, right? He's the Mount
Oh, he's the
Everest.
goat.
Yeah, he's the goat. And then like this guy's he could pull it off. I was surprised how good he looked in a mustache. But yeah, Tetris on Apple TV is an extremely well made, fun espionage movie
Yeah.
about the making of Tetris. And what I thought was really interesting was like, if you really think about what the movie's about, it's about a bunch of licensing agreements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that on
It's
paper,
about capitalism versus communism.
that
Pretty
too.
boring stuff.
It's pretty boring. Like,
contracts.
contracts. But they make it fun. And you're like, yeah, god damn it. I hope the freaking Nintendo guys get the
Listen,
worldwide contracts.
when they had all three of the players in separate rooms.
Yeah.
In the Gestapo building or whatever the hell it was, right? And he's like, okay, what you need to do is what you doing now here? And he's like, hold on 1 second. And he goes back down to the other room.
Yeah. That moment where
And
he's
he comes
like,
back in here. It's like, what's going on here?
And
man?
I
What
love
do you
all
think?
of the loopholes that you have to jump through because
Oh
he was
my
like,
God.
I'm just going to go to Russia. And they're like, you can't.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just going to say I'm a tourist. And they're like, you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
You can't go to Russia and say that you're there for tourism if you're there for business because they will put you in a Russian jail and
Yeah.
no one will ever see you again.
one of my favorite moments in that movie is, and spoiler alert, I guess, if you haven't watched it yet, but one of my favorite moments in that movie is when the Russian guy who is like the CEO of this tech company or whatever, he realizes that the better deal is with this one other guy, but he's already signed a contract with the second dude or whatever, the guy who plays one of the bad guys from Marvel movies.
And then he makes him redefine the
He
contract.
redefines the contract. He's like, I wrote a new contract, just sign it here. And he's like, he's getting him to do it, but he doesn't tell him that he redefined what computer meant in the contract. So that like negates all of his rights
That
to
was
everything
so
else.
smart.
So smooth.
Yeah,
I was
and,
like,
and the whole catalyst for the movie is the Game Boy. It's like they
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
get the handheld rights for Tetris.
yeah. It was such a fun movie. I had a blast.
But the pinnacle of the video game adaptation just came out recently, which is the new Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of interesting because it's coming off the heels of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, which aren't necessarily an adaptation because they have very little to do with the actual video game. But that was a situation where basically they listened to the audience in terms of like how they wanted Sonic to look.
And this is a great thing. So many of you know, if you're on the internet at all, if you pay attention to movies at all, you'll
And
know.
if you're not, you'll never hear this. So fuck you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. When they first announced the Sonic the Hedgehog movie and they put the trailer out, Sonic looked horrendous.
Yeah.
Like he looked really
awful.
bad.
Yeah.
And there was huge outcry on Twitter, across social media, like, what is this crap? And kudos to the studio. Studio actually went, you know what? I think we fucked up. We're going to delay the release and we're going to fix it. And all of us went, ah!
Okay.
Oh,
Wait,
you are?
Yeah, you
Wait,
are.
hold on. You're gonna respect us,
It's
the
like
fans?
the first time your mom ever goes, okay.
Yeah, you can have candy before dinner. What?
You can decide.
Right? So we were like with our pitchforks and torches, going, "You can't do that." Oh, they're gonna fix it.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. And then, like, personally, just I can only speak for myself, but personally, when they did that, I was like, 100%, I'm taking my whole family to the movies.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
We
make
all went
sure.
together, I remember.
Yeah, I'm 100% gonna go support this movie because they listened to the fans.
I even
They
took
did
my
that.
wife.
Now, I do agree that it's not necessarily an adaptation of the video game. It's like, it's live action. So
It's an adventure in the Mario universe.
oh, that's a great. Is that in our Discord?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. Thank you, whoever did that.
It encapsulates
Broba.
Roba.
it encapsulates the Mario universe.
Uh-huh.
Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, whatever.
Yeah.
And it tells us a fun family story
You're talking about Mario.
about Mario.
Yeah. So we're switching over to
and,
Mario.
and how he got over there. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a fun thing.
Well, like, so Sonic the Hedgehog, I think, has kind of started this, like, maybe they're paving the way a little bit for video games to be taken more seriously and to be actually adapted properly or whatever, and respect the fandom and respect where they're coming from.
Here's the thing, and this is why I think, I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
That's okay.
Like,
You're a little drunk, so am
I
I.
totally cut you off. I apologize. Sonic, Mario, these are games that people our age, the people sitting around this table grew up playing.
Yeah.
We're the people that have kids that, you know, and some of us have kids that have all played these games. It's a multi-generational attraction or whatever to these movies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly why Mario is killing it right now.
Gangbusters.
It's because there's 40 years of people that have touched the Mario franchise that all love it. And that's exactly why. And they made this movie. It has no agenda other than entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's the exact same reason that the Sonic movie was as big as it, because it was
here
huge.
to have fun.
It's there to tell us a story and have fun with characters that we grew up with and loved.
You know, the big difference between the two, though, is that Sonic was a live action thing with, like, you know, cartoon characters in it, whereas Super Mario was a straight up full animated movie.
Right.
And so they could do a lot more with the animated stuff than they can with, like, the live action, I think.
I wouldn't be like, so the way Sonic worked was like, he comes from this world, and if you watch the beginning of that movie, everything's animated. And then he gets sent to the live action world, and he spends the time with the family. So now there is a time and a place, if they make a third one, or I think they might be making a third one, where if they go back to his world and go through the little ring portal thing, it could be a fully animated movie if they wanted it to be.
Sure.
And then they could go back to the real world where he lives. So, like, there's potential for them to actually adapt, like, a full-on game and have it be very much like the Mario Brothers game, where they could take Sonic into the animated universe and have a whole thing and do whatever they want.
So what did you guys think of the Super Mario movie?
I had a blast. I had an absolute 100% fun time. I took my entire family. We were all there.
Yeah.
I bought, like, probably $200 worth of movie tickets, and we rented out basically the entire back row of this theater.
Yeah.
And I brought my in-laws, I brought my wife, my kids, you guys, your kid. The only people we were missing was Vader and Story.
Yeah.
But that's just because of the scheduling thing. But I had an absolute blast. And what I loved about it is that it was purely just there for entertainment. There was no messaging. There was no nothing. It was just like, I can finally take my kid to a movie and not be like, oh, I hope they don't say something weird. Like, it's just, no, it's Mario. It's just fun. And there was, for people out there who might think that, like, oh, it went woke because Princess Peach was like a strong female character. I'm like, bro.
Are people saying that?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I said something.
Wait, what?
People are saying that this movie is quote unquote woke.
It's not woke.
Because Princess Peach had to show Mario how to live in the mushroom world.
That's bullshit.
That's what I said.
That's nonsense.
She is the princess of the mushroom world. Of course she's going to know more than him.
They also accused Bowser of being a simp for Peach.
Well,
he's always been a simp for Peach.
He kind of
Yeah,
was.
I mean, for 40 years he has been, but everyone's like, she's cucking Bowser, man.
Nah, shut the hell up.
Peachy, peaches.
It just,
Oh yeah, Peach.
it's such a.
I love you,
Honestly,
Peaches.
That was a song that Jack Black had already written.
Oh,
anyway.
100%. Peaches, peach. Yeah. Jack Black was amazing, too. That was one of the things my wife said. She was like, if I wouldn't have already known that it was Jack Black, I wouldn't have been able to tell.
Yeah.
I didn't know it
Because
was Jack
he
Black.
changed his voice so well. Like, there's...
Until he was singing.
Until he was singing. Then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's Jack Black.
Yeah.
That's Tenacious D.
I didn't know who anybody was until, like, I looked up who everybody was. And I was like, oh, they did such a good job.
Yeah,
I didn't have to be like, that's Anya Taylor-Joy or that's Jack Black or that's Chris Pratt. I just was able to enjoy a movie without it being like, we're doing this for you guys, but just so you know, this is who we are. This is what we stand
you know,
for.
the weirdest criticism for this movie has come from John Leguizamo, who's like, there's no Latinx representation
He's an
in
idiot.
this movie.
I'm sorry. He's an
Okay.
idiot.
And
I will
you know,
never trust John Leguizamo after Spawn.
well, he was in the original Mario Brothers movie
Yep.
as
It was
Luigi.
terrible. It was terrible. That movie was awful, too.
He's a moron. I'm
Listen,
sorry.
I called it before. I said I've never liked John Leguizamo in any movie except for John Wick 1. It's the only movie he's
Fair.
ever been good in.
Fair.
Oh.
I
Okay.
do really like him in the new show Power right now.
Okay.
I know we're John Leguizamo. I
Yeah.
did like him in another comic or in another video. No, wait, that was a comic book movie. I would say I thought he was good as Clown in Spawn.
No,
But that
Are you
was
drunk?
No.
He was the best part of that
He was
movie.
awful.
you are crazy pants
I
right now.
read Spawn. I thought he was a great
Anyway,
Spawn.
I need to finish my
completely
thought.
disagree with
I need to finish my thought about Princess Peach real quick.
So
'cause
we've
I-
all decided Vader's wrong.
I'm
yeah,
wrong.
100%,
Whatever.
yes.
It's okay.
Please continue.
So the criticism that like, oh, Princess Peach was too powerful. She's not the damsel in distress.
Oh God, fucking forbid.
Like, shut the hell up, because
Yeah.
they took the time to explain that in the movie.
Yeah.
Now, if she was just like an insert from the same world that Mario was in,
Yeah.
and they all went there at the
And
same
she's
time,
all powerful for
she's
no
super
reason.
for no reason.
That's called bad writing.
Bad
They-
writing, sure.
She literally said it took me a long time to
I've
master.
I've lived in this world for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. That's all I need.
I just like that she like did a speed run through the maze.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah,
And-
she did say I got it right the first time.
got it right the
but
first time.
I was born here.
She was raised here, not born, raised.
Raised here, yeah.
But like that alone, that little bit of dialogue explains everything that she is. It explains all the power that she has, explains why she's able to do what she does. And I just want to point out that when shit hit the fan at the end of the movie, who saves the day? Mario and Luigi.
Yeah.
It's not a
'Cause they're
freaking.
super.
It's not a woke movie where like the female had to save it. No, motherfuckers. It was the brothers. It was the brother team up. And that's what this movie was about. It wasn't about rescuing the princess. It was about the brothers teaming up and becoming the
I think the problem with a
Super
lot
Mario
of
Brothers.
woke writing is that they make things happen for the sake of the rightness, in their opinion, of what it should be,
Yeah.
without there being an explanation or a lead up to it, and we just all have to accept it. And if we don't, then we're the assholes.
Yeah.
But the assholes are like, no, I just want
I
it
just
to
want you
make
to explain it.
sense.
Yeah, make it
I
make
want
sense.
it to make sense. No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to
100%.
make sense because that's what's right.
And,
wanna-
and the great thing about this movie is like they basically took 40 years of Mario and added a little bit of everything. in there.
Yeah.
Like you had Donkey Kong, you had Mario Kart, you had like, the raccoon suit.
Yeah, the different
cat suit.
power ups. Yeah, because my wife was like, I know the raccoon, but where's the cat come from? I'm like, I think the cat was from the second game.
Super Mario World.
Yeah, that's from like the original NES Mario Brothers #2, I think.
So again, as someone who's never played any of the game, I don't play games. I'm not a video game person. I quite honestly hate video games. But I watch
dare
the movies, so I'm the perfect candidate for having to watch this.
Yeah, you are.
So like I always have questions after we watch video game adaptations about like how close it was to the original content, because like I appreciate when you're adapting something for a movie or a TV show. I want to know like what was changed and what wasn't. So it was fun for me. I got in the car with my 9-year-old and my fiance, who have both played the game
Big
before.
9-year-old.
my big 9-year-old, and like before the movie started, I was like, "Are you sure you guys don't want to sit next to each other? Like I'm in between you guys. Do
Yeah.
you guys want to talk?" And so after we got in the car, I was like, "Okay." And it was so much fun for me because I was like, I don't know all of the history between the games or the adaptation or like the stuff that they put in the movie from the games. So I was like, I didn't realize that. And forgive me, people. Don't fucking come for me. I mean, I guess you can. Whatever.
Mario fans are gonna come
I'm not
for
gonna
you,
read your
Jude.
comment anyway. But I was like, I didn't realize that Donkey Kong was part of the Mario universe. And Kadish was like, yeah, the
Yeah.
original. Like, and like it was explained to me, and I was like, oh, that's so
the barrels.
cool.
Yeah, he's throwing
Yeah.
the barrels out. That's like one of the
so
first Mario games. Yeah.
cool. But it wasn't like. It did make me feel like I was an asshole if I didn't get it
Yeah.
while I was watching the movie.
Mario's trying to rescue Princess Peach on top of the ladders.
That's the game.
Yeah. And it was really fun being schooled by my 9-year-old about like
Come on,
stuff in the
Mom.
movie. And like I was like, what was the raccoon thing?
Dude,
and my 9-year-old was like, actually, which he gets from him.
I left Mario the movie and immediately had a Nintendo Switch in my cart on Amazon. Like, can I spend $300 on this or not?
So, really quick, before we move on, what's your score
For Mario,
for Mario?
I would give Mario a solid 3.5.
Out of 10?
No, out of 5. When have we ever done 10?
Huh. I don't know.
3.5
Are
out
you
of
okay,
5.
Jude?
Maybe.
Are you
Probably a
having
4. And I will say this to cap off my review on that. There was a moment where I started to tear up a little bit.
Tear up.
Is
What?
when Luigi found his courage and saved Mario from Bowser's Flames, and he had the manhole cover, and it was like melting around him,
yeah.
and they were like Mario and Luigi. That I was like, control yourself, be a man. It's like I that hit me right in the heart right there. Solid 3.5, probably a 4 if I'm really being generous. And then for Tetris is the same thing, 3.5, 4-star movie. The Tetris movie on Apple TV is freaking awesome. Go check that out as well. And that's kind of like the idea of this conversation that we were going to have today is like have video game adaptations turned a corner. Have they went from schlocky bullshit movies that nobody cares about to actually taking the source material seriously? That's the question that we want to leave you as a listener. Comment below. What do you think? Give us your ratings for the new new movies.
I'm right there with you on both movies. I'm exactly the same. 3.5 for both Mario and Tetris.
Right on.
Highly enjoyable, highly fun, different kind of movies. But it's nice to have a movie like Mario out there that I wouldn't hesitate to take my young kids to. When I went to the movie theater, I went with my wife. I dragged her along, and she saw she didn't fall asleep.
That's good.
So that's a good sign, right?
That's an extra half star.
Yeah. But the theater was filled. It was packed. There wasn't an empty seat in the theater, which was weird. But it was 80%.
And you went during the afternoon, right?
I went at 4:40 yesterday on a Monday. And I think it's spring break here right now, I believe. So there's a lot of people looking for things to do with their kids. But the theater was packed. And it was 80% under 15.
This movie's going to make $1 billion.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to make $1 billion. And I hope it does. And it totally deserves it. And it's really nice to be able to go to a show like this and just have fun, and even people like my wife who has played Mario. She's not a video gamer, but she's touched Mario stuff. So
I bet she has.
Even it's a Mario. Woohoo! But she even knows what a Koopa is and a who Bowser is.
That's the sound I make when my wife touches me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's me.
It's not exactly a date movie, but it's fun. It's a fun movie, and I had no problems with it. And I really do hope it makes $1 billion because it deserves it, and I want to see another one.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah,
Jude, you got a rating for the Tetris and Mario Brothers movie? Go for it.
Both. Okay, I'm gonna have to do them individually.
Of course.
Okay, so Tetris. I didn't want to watch it. I thought it sounded boring, and then when I watched it, I was like, "That was fucking great."
Oh, cool. Right
So I'll give that a 4 out of 5 stars. It was really fun. It was historic, and there was espionage, and it made me go, "Ooh," a couple of times.
Yeah.
I thought it was really fun. I love that it was based on a true story. What? Yes. What?
I just have one question about the movie. Was Vladimir Putin in this
Dude,
movie?
that freaking guy looked just like Vladimir Putin. Holy crap. I have never seen an actor fit a role better in my life. I was like, I'm pretty sure they got Vladimir Putin to play that guy. I was like, what the fuck?
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just thought, was he an actual character?
I had the same thought. As soon as she said whatever phrase she said, I was like, Vladimir Putin. Anyway, 4 out of 5, and then for Mario.
For Mario, again, I did not want to go see it because I don't like animation movies, but it was a family affair, and we got to go with your whole family, so it was really fun. And Kadish got me 4 shots of Tito's, so it was perfect. And I had a great time. For an animated children's movie that is an adaptation on a video game, I'm going to give it 5 out of 5. Is it for me? No, but this isn't. I'm not who they made it for.
Yeah.
I had a great time, and I think it is a movie that you can enjoy as an adult, and you can take your kids to, and you can just enjoy in a group setting and relive the nostalgia of the video games that you played as a kid, which I did not, but I had friends who did. And I thought it was a great time. It was a really great time.
I completely agree. Kadish, how about you? Tetris and Mario Brothers. Take it away.
I really enjoyed both movies. I think Tetris was a little bit of a better story than Mario, but I'd give them both 3 stars, 3 solid stars. Tetris was fun because it kind of like a Cold War espionage movie set to the video game world. And Mario Brothers, even though I really liked the movie, it was just kind of like a pedestrian story. I didn't feel like it was anything special, but they respected the source material and they were able to work in a lot of really good stuff. And I think it's a great family film. And I think that when it comes down to video game adaptations or any adaptation, really, it really boils down to like the filmmakers, how much do they respect the source material? Because the more respectful you can be, the better the adaptation is going to be, basically.
Totally.
It's unfortunate that Tetris is restricted to
Apple Plus.
Plus, because it would be a lot of fun to see on the big screen. It deserves a theatrical release.
I
I
agree.
really think it does.
You know what I think we need to do? And this is unrelated to the current topic, but I think we need to have an episode that we do about Apple TV and how they refuse to do any marketing for any of their shows because they have some really great content
good
on
ones.
it.
Well, just name
And
the
they
video.
yeah, why does Apple TV
Dear
hate
Apple TV.
Apple TV?
Yeah, dear Apple
We'll
TV.
do that next week.
All right, guys, that's it for the episode. We've got a live stream to record here in just a few minutes. So thank you all for watching this video. Comment below your favorite video game adaptation. What movie do you think got it right? What movie do you think was atrocious? We want to hear about it in the comments below.
Yeah, what's your favorite video game adaptation and what's your least favorite? I want
that's
to know
a-
that.
That's a good comment. Comment below, guys, and help this video out. Don't forget, if you're brand new here, like and subscribe. If you made it this far and you're liking what we're talking about, please sign up at saltynerdclub.com and join our Patreon members. We do a ton of fun stuff with our Patreons, and we are doing Star Trek, the original series commentaries on Patreon only. It's exclusive. And if you want to,
sexy.
it's sexy as hell. And if you want to sign up for YouTube members, we also have exclusive content for YouTube members as well. So sign up either way, support the podcast so we can keep doing what we're doing. All right, Vader, say goodbye to the people.
See ya, people. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Hasta luego.
June, say goodbye.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
I don't even know what I said.
Kadish, producer of the show. Thank you
I
for
was
working
trying to make it
today.
weirder.
Say goodbye to the people.
Sayonara.
Sayonara.
Okay. Arigato.
Say it in Italian.
Okay, let's go.
All right,
Arrivederci.
all right, we're clear.